Okay, yes, it's time. Hello. We meet again for the 8 millionth time. The Eric Zane Show podcast, a daily show where I discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures. Thank you so much. You see, I'm wearing the Pete's Auto Parts gear. They just got broken into. Okay, so what they do there at Pete's, hang on a second. The threshold on this mic is weird. Stand by. A little too wonky for your old pal EZ. This is a business up the road here. This is the second time this happened. There was a news report on Channel 8. I'll actually pull it up here. God damn it. These folks over at Pete's, they've been, they keep getting broken into. I can't find it. I'll get to that on the Patreon. I don't even know why I started to go down that road. Every time I do that, I'm like, why am I trying? Okay, let me focus here because the title of today's podcast is going to pique some interest. The countdown is on to our latest show on Patreon. Who are these Steve and Kyles? This is yet another review show where Ben and I pull clips and review the show and we roast it. We have a great time goofing on it a little, no big deal. Steve, of course, of the Free Beer and Hot Wings show, and Kyle, known for his 6-day radio career that started in April of 2016 with your old pal EZ. And then 6 days into it, local whistleblower Andrew Cloudkicker reached out with some pertinent information. Fast forward 24 hours, Kyle is no longer at the radio station. What happened? Well, anyway, I'm just giving you the background so you know who's who and what's what. Kyle, for a period of time, was I think he would host. We had like a best of show that we would do on Free Beer and Hot Wings, and he'd drag his ass into there and like host the best of. I just checked his LinkedIn about what he did. I'll make sure that his boss is able to hear the episode of Who Are These Steve and Kyles, Kyle has always been known to penetrate the backside of topical news stories and just thrust himself repeatedly in to a tight spot, even though it might be a little dirty. Really willing to go deep on the news stories and the comedy to get to the bottom of any situation, to make sure that it's full of laughs and detail. Like if you're walking around counting your steps, maybe you got your pedometer and you're listening to the Steve and Kyle show, you can sure pass the time appropriately with some big laughs. So I'm really excited about that. Kyle is one to always force his will upon others, especially, hypothetically, a young neighbor. But, that's all in an attempt to be hilarious and awesome as he is. So we've teamed up with Andrew Cloudkicker to bring you Who Are These Steve and Kyles coming up on Thursday. Now, when it comes to reviewing shows, as you know, Ben and I like to do that. We like to review old episodes of mine. And, of course, we do Who Are These Zanes? We do Who Are These Free Beers, where we review various episodes of Free Beer and Hot Wings, much to the delight of many, many people. Thank you very much. It is our growing audience on Patreon. Thank you. But this is a new one. It's been a long time coming. So this will be woven into the fabric of Patreon for as long as we can stand it, because I'll tell you this, of all the shows that I've had to review, well, probably my least favorite show to review are anything involving me. I hate the sound of my own voice. Whenever I listen to myself, I'm always like, oh, fuck, why did I say that? I should have said this. I hate listening to me. But this will quickly overtake that. It's extremely hard to pull clips from this show. And I'll talk more about this when I sit down with Ben, when we actually do Who Are These Steve and Kyles in conjunction with Andrew Cloudkicker. It's an Andrew Cloudkicker production is what we're doing. And that will be Thursday of this week. It'll be a big fraud Thursday with my pal Ben Glaze. But the thing about that show is they don't really talk about anything. It's all one big inside joke between them. And no matter how many episodes you listen to, you always feel like they're about 5 steps ahead of you, but not in a good way. Not like they're on top of anything. I think for the number of episodes that they've put out, and they've been doing this since, I believe, 2016, I don't think I've ever really encountered a show, and, you know, I'm always an asshole, but there are times when I'll tell you that I'm actually being focused and trying to be critical in a way that's actually helpful. That's right now. Unless they're actually trying to be horrible, which they might be. It might be all one big gag. I've not really ever listened to anything quite like them. A show that really, really works hard at saying and doing some things that are truly pointless. Unlistenable. I found myself, like yesterday, I was driving to the Michigan Rangers soccer game. It's 5:30 in the afternoon, and I put it on, and about 5 to 10 minutes into it, my eyes started getting heavy. Now, I've had this happen many times since I've been reviewing their shows, but I've been like, well, maybe I'm just tired. Maybe it's just this. But literally every time that I've listened to that show, I've found myself, my brain just completely shutting down. And again, they might be shooting for this. So I will say that it's, I really kind of have to put my thinking cap on to figure out an approach on what clips to pull, because it's essentially very numbing to my brain to listen to it. And as much as I love to just insult a person like Steve, and for goddamn sure Kyle, holy fuck, it's hard to put into words how much of a nothing existence this show is. And these two think it's a fucking riot. They are having a good time. They are really, truly having fun doing this show. And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe that's what they're shooting for. Maybe they're just screwing around, but they seem to put a fair amount of effort into it, but not enough to be in any way listenable. I just had a conversation with Ben. Do you know what episodes of Steve and Kyle you listen to? Because he's going to start his review. And I wrote, yes, I listened to quite a few. May 7, May 14, May 21, May 28. Good luck. Your mind is going to go numb. And frankly, I think I have just enough clips with those 4 episodes. And make no mistake, it's not because you have to search to find something that's bad. It's all bad. But it's so desperately dull and ridiculous that it's all kind of foggy, and it's tough to really find something that you can park on that is something you can make fun of. Okay? Really, really difficult. So 4 episodes. I mean, normally if I review Free Beer and Hot Wings, one segment of one show gives me 10 to 15 clips. No lie. So, my God. Now, if you want to go ahead and listen yourself and you think that there's something interesting, I may need your help as an audience for this. So, go ahead. You can find the Stephen Pyle, that's funny because it is a pile. The Stephen Kyle podcast, wherever you download shows, listen to it. And it was like, okay, easy. 4 minutes in of this episode, Kyle is talking about a local neighborhood boy. Hypothetically, of course. One thing I'll give Kyle is he sounds positively, he sounds very energetic and engaged about something that is absolute shit. And I don't know how he's able to keep that type of intensity and like spring in his step, so to speak, when he's doing the show, when it's the content that it is. It is so bad. Oh, my God. Patrick says, thank you, Easy. The work that has gone into reviewing that piece of shit show must have been such a drag. Nick checks in with something completely different up north. He says, hey, my mom listened to a show for the first time up north. She complimented your voice multiple times. You mean like the radio show or the podcast? I hope it was the radio show and hope it was not the podcast. Your mother should not be listening to this garbage. Jeremy says, I'm assuming referring to Stephen Kyle, it's drivel. It's painful drivel. Drivel is a underused word. Speaking with no point, no clear beginning, middle, and end, no arc, nothing. Just talking. That's drivel. Chris, who I just saw yesterday, says, I cannot wait for the beat up. The free beer joke reactions were great last week. Oh, my God. There is nothing better than a free beer bummer joke. He'll throw out these turds and there's like 18 people in that room, and he gets nothing in the goddamn room. Oh, my God. It's fantastic. It's so great. I love it. Painful to listen to, but you can only take so many of those because they're so uncomfortable. I know what you mean. Nick says, no, you see the podcast. Mom's been a Stern fan for 30 years. She can handle it. Oh, okay. Jeremy says Mr. Cloudkicker has made himself known. Oh, yeah. He's a key sponsor of the podcast. The Ben and Eric, I should say, the Who Are These Stephen Kyles podcast with Ben and Eric is brought to you by Andrew Cloudkicker. Ben and I have teamed up with Sir Cloudkicker to deliver this timely piece of audio. All right. So I'm excited about it. Now, it's about all I have to say about it. So here we are on Monday. The show happens Thursday on Patreon. Now, we do it live first with video. And then a day or two later, I will post the audio. There are 2 ways you can subscribe to Patreon. Just audio, $5 a month, or audio, video, live streams. If you want it when it drops Thursday live, that's tier 2. You got to sign up for tier 2. It's $10 a month. It's more valuable than anything else you pay for in an online subscription to anything that exists in the world. Patreon.com/Eric Zane. The good news, you can catch the debut of Who Are These Steve and Kyles for free on Patreon. So when you go there, like I just told you to patreon.com/Eric Zane, sign up for 7 days, and then 1 second later, cancel it. Cancel it. Okay? You will still get the 7 days free. I don't care if you cancel it. I just want you to try the content. That's the point. And if you sign up for it and then forget that you signed up for the 7 days free, it'll charge you. And I don't want you to get charged for something that that you aren't sure you're going to pay for. So that everybody's on the same page. Sign up, cancel, enjoy 7 days. If you love it, sign up again and pay for it. If you don't, then you just let it go, and then it doesn't charge you. Fair and square. That's the way I roll, motherfucker. It was a real bummer Saturday. I reached Chris D, who's in here right now. He says to me, "Easy, can you take the conversation with Trump you had on the show Friday and post it as just the interview? I want to share it with some friends." Now, I've done that in the past, and I was going to do that with this one because it was an exceptional edition of my phone call with Trump. And I said, thank you for the reminder for that. I am going to do that. And then I did it. So after I post it to the free platform, I then like to take the link from the audio and put it on Facebook and X and Instagram and say, you may not know this, ladies and gentlemen, but EZ speaks regularly with the real Donald Trump. And then it says, EZ's aunt worked for Trump's campaign back in the day, and they porked. Now, that should be the first clue. Well, in addition to just the absurdity of it all, that's the first clue. The second clue is, if I'm writing my aunt porked Donald Trump, like that sounds believable, right? So I wrote, EZ's aunt porked Donald Trump. And eventually she tipped off Trump to the podcast. He liked it. One day he called the show, and the rest is history. That's it. Now, that's ridiculous, and it's suspending reality. It's just silly. It's dumb. But I think 50% of the people that commented on it believe that that was actually goddamn Donald Trump. Some didn't even listen to it. One idiot said, I don't have to listen to it. I know what he's going to say. All he does is says the same shit over and over again. It's like, oh, God, you fucking moron. But then the guy on Instagram who wrote, well, EZ, it's time for us to part ways. I supported you from all you've been through. But I draw the line here because you're talking to him. Oh, my God. I used to have a broadcasting teacher by the name of Vicki Ratliff. She was one of the professors at Central Michigan University. I think she's dead. Maybe not. I don't know. But she said one time, we were in our radio class, and she had some seriously good chops. She knew great sensibility, Vicki Ratliff. She said, you need to come to grips with this. Your audience is always, basically, stupid. And I don't know if I necessarily believe that, because I like to think that the audience that I have, and particularly this show, especially after the weeding out of the former Zaniacs, that I have a fairly smart audience here. Very in tune. So I don't know if I believe that, but for that moment in time, when I read that dumb fuck thought that was actually Trump, and I'm like, oh, fuck me. Are you kidding? So I wrote moron. Now, I hate to do this because I love the theater of the mind. But when you're dealing with retards, sometimes you have to. I said moron. It's a Trump impersonator. And then I posted right after that, you cannot possibly be this dumb. Or how dumb are you? And that stupid fuck did not reply. Now, if that were me, I would just take the L and say, oh, God, this is embarrassing. Easy, I'm totally kidding. Let's pretend this didn't happen. This fucking twat didn't say shit. Then I screenshotted the entire interaction and put it on Facebook. I go, look at this. Would you fucking look at this? Oh, my God. Very disheartening. Cole writes, how can anyone that's listened to you for any amount of time be such a pussy? Chris said Justin Barclay probably thinks you really got him on the air and is outraged that he couldn't get him. Cole says, wait, what? That's not Trump? You lied to our ears. Tyler says, Easy needs a sign that says your IQ must be this high to listen to the podcast. Ryan writes, I don't understand, Big Fraud Zane. I thought this entire time you were talking to Donald Trump. You're telling me this was some cheap impersonator? Listener Jason says, wait, that isn't the real Trump. I liked you because you talked to him. Donut Dan, who I'll be seeing very soon, says, amazing how freaking stupid Americans are nowadays. There are many days when what you say pisses me off, Easy, but I love hearing other opinions so that I am not just listening to only one side. What an idiot. And prime candidate for asshole of the day. God damn it. Yesterday, it was another rip-roaring adventure over to the east side of Grand Rapids. Beautiful Davenport University. The home of Michigan Rangers FC NPSL soccer. You're like, Easy, you fucking hate soccer. No. I hate watching soccer on TV, that's for damn sure. But I've really enjoyed the two games that I've seen so far of the Michigan Rangers. Thank you to Chris D for inviting me to be there to be the PA announcer. There is no one better at saying free kick, Michigan. Corner kick, Michigan. Substitution, Michigan. I'm glad you bring this up, Chris, because he says, Easy does not hate soccer that turns into a UFC match. Exactly what I wanted to talk about. From my observations in the press box watching this game, first of all, Michigan won 5-1. It was actually a pretty back and forth game early on. And then the team from Erie, PA kind of came unglued. And I don't know what was going on, but can I just say, when it comes to the referees, without saying anything too inflammatory, those refs suck cock. You wouldn't have believed it. There were times when, like, let's say the ball's coming in and two guys are going to, like, head it, and their number 4, when he's going up to head it, he would wrap an arm around the neck of our guy. They're in the air going for the same ball, and then number 4 would whip him down by the goddamn neck. Our guy winds up on his fucking back, and he's laying there, and he has this look. His hands are out to his side, like, what the fuck? And so you think for sure there's just going to be not only a free kick, but probably a yellow card on number 4. Number 4 got a yellow very early in the match. If he'd have got another one, he's done. Now, the game's already over. We're beating the shit out of him at this point. But the last probably 15 minutes of that game, it was one after the other, Erie ripping our guys to the ground. And like in that play I was just describing to you, our guy was the one who got called for the foul. That happened all the fucking time in that game. That one ref, he must have been sucking the dick of somebody from the opposing team or something. I don't know what the fuck is going on there, but it was awful. Really, really bad. And so then the fans start getting pissed off. Now, it's a little bit weird because you got a lot of youth players that are there that are watching the match, and there's a lot of adults that are watching the match. You got to understand, this league, it's comprised of people that can play at a high level, but some are doing it just because they love soccer. Some are older cats, and some are young that are entering the college level of soccer, and their coaches at their college level teams are saying, hey, I want you to keep playing soccer, play for the Michigan Rangers. They play, you can get like 10, 12 games in the summer, and you can stay sharp and then come back to school and you can kick ass. So you've got a wide range of age groups playing this sport. So you've got a lot of fans that are there, and, they've got a vested interest in this. And then there's one dude in particular who he starts talking shit to the refs as this game's getting more and more descending into madness as the game is going on. So what starts out is fan going, oh, come on! It turns into, you better watch it, ref! I mean, he's real aggressive, really, really bad. And so it's starting to get real ugly. And then my man Chris here, okay, so we're in the press box, and Chris didn't get there till late because he had to drive all the way from Petoskey in the middle of the day down to, that's a 3.5, 4 hour drive because he was coaching a kids team. And then he gets there like with 20 minutes left in the game. And it's starting to descend to madness. He has to open the window and stick his head out of the fucking thing and say, excuse me, sir. Sir, can we maybe calm it down a little? Because like the fans are right there. It's not like, fucking Wembley or anything like that. It's just a small venue. Holy shit, it was so goddamn awkward. But I got to give it up. Michigan stayed very calm. I don't think they lost their composure once, but they were getting mugged. And you would think that after enough, somebody's going to get pissed off and then a fight is going to break out. They did not. They totally just turned the other cheek, which is cool, I guess, because it can get ugly, and then you got all sorts of trouble if you start a fucking fight. But that Erie team, they started to get the shit kicked out of them, and then they fucking went bonkers. Jesus. But a good time to be had by all. You should really come and hang out with me at one of those games. We will do it again. Let's see. Coming up on Saturday. Saturday the 8th, 7 p.m. Chris, which field are we playing at? The Farmers Insurance Field or the one right on Davenport's campus? I don't even know. But it was cool. I love it. So come. I think it's like a handful of bucks to get in. The kids love it. And then I forgot one key part that Chris just pointed out. One of the staff from the Erie team was up in the press box with us, right to our right. And he's like taking notes about how they're playing some dude from Great Britain or some shit. Oh, my God. And we were worried that it was just weird to have all of us up there from the Michigan team and him right next to us. But everybody behaved. Now, Chris, you said the student center field. I don't know what the fuck that is. The big one or the little one? Yeah, yesterday it was the little one. The first game was the big one. Which one? Student center field means nothing to me. I don't know these things. You got to tell me. Nick, says, soccer has quickly become my second favorite sport. Wow, well, you should show up there, Nick. And bring your squares. Bring your darts, God damn it. Chris says, where we were yesterday, LOL, the little field. Oh, yeah, it's at the Student Center Field. Pfft, what? So then I'm acting, like when I'm up there in the press box, guy from the Erie team is to my right. And what's a dude? Colton? Is that him? To my left. And, I mean, I know how to do PA, obviously, but I don't know shit about soccer. So thank God I've got people saying, okay, that's a foul. You got to call free kick. So I'm learning that. But then I asked a really dumb fuck question, I guess. And I was embarrassed because the guy to my right, I think he's like got like the same soccer pedigree as like Messi or what's that one guy's name? Neymar? Neiman Marcus. Neymar? Is he still a thing or is he dead? I said to a dude next to me, I go, so can the other team pull the goalie like hockey? And he looks at me like, you fucking idiot. And I guess technically you can, but no one does. It doesn't matter. Like, how can it not matter? You got one more guy on there. Chris says the guy in the box was, it says, always so funny when you say they whenever one of us talks Kenny. I don't know what that means. Chris says he's on his way out, plays in the Saudi League. The guy that was in there with us plays in the Saudi League? That sounds cool. All right. So, no, I guess you don't pull the goalie, but what you do is, I figured this out. Let's say the other team is down a goal or two. What they'll do is they'll move everybody up. And then the goalie will act just as like a sweeper. Like the goalie will be just shy of midfield. And you put like everybody else down in the zone trying to make something happen. But it's a high risk, high reward. Because if somebody gets past, you can have a big moment. Like we had some fucker, I think his name is Pagano. Francesco Pagano. While the other team was pushing, the ball skittered past like onto the other side of the field, and he took off like a fucking bolt of thunder. Now, a few of these guys that play, they're older, like I indicated. And some of them are starting to get man tits, but they can still run very, very well. They're in that transition where they're still fast as fuck, but they've got titties. So you see this guy run like fucking grease lightning, but his tits are bouncing like crazy. So I'm a big fan of those guys that are in their like late 20s, early 30s that already are starting to sprout tittage. Very, very awesome. Rebecca says they need to ace bandage those things. Yeah, like bind them. Chris says some big collisions yesterday. We needed easy reaction cam when they collide. Great idea. I would love that. Oh. One of the things that gets me that I'm just picking up on about soccer is what's called a slide tackle. Now, I saw, I guess, some excellent slide tackles in that game because a guy from Erie has the ball and then our guy comes in and slides, and then somehow he gets the ball, and then on that spot he tackles the guy with his legs. And if you do it correctly and well, there's no foul. And I don't think I saw one foul from a slide tackle. I was like, fucking A, this is great. And then I saw a lot of, like if one of our guys is trying to get away from a defender, the defender will grab his fucking shirt and hang on to it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Blow the whistle. You can't hang on to his goddamn shirt, you fucking idiot. All right. Anyway, soccer Saturday. You need to go to the little field, Davenport University. So if you're in West Michigan and you go to the Farmers Insurance Field Complex, you're in the wrong spot. There's a bunch of asshole baseball players there. Fuck that shit. You got to go to actual Davenport University and then just kind of drive around and you'll find the soccer field. Pay some money, get in, and whatever. Watch the game. That means 7 p.m. kickoff. I'll be there. Come watch the game. You help support Chris's organization, Michigan Rangers, which Michigan Rangers is soccer organization, all age groups. Little kids. You work your way up to boys, girls. It's fantastic organization, and Chris runs the damn thing. And he takes care of me, and I appreciate him having me be there as a PA announcer. It definitely is a joy, a real pleasure. Okay, for those of you that are watching the show on Facebook, X, and YouTube, first of all, let me say this. There has been a clear beginning, middle, and end of everything that I've talked about on this show so far. We've talked about three big things. We talked about promoting Stephen Kyle. We talked about Trump, idiots thinking that Trump is real. And then we talked about the fantastic soccer game yesterday and all the shit that went down. Okay, so those are stories. Beginning, middle, end. Keep the story moving, keep it engaging, keeping it fun, keeping it light, keeping it entertaining, talking with you, looking at your comments, weaving those in. That's all part of it. I say that because I don't want you to lose sight of just how shitty Stephen Kyle is. There's none of that in any of that show. It's so goddamn hard to listen to. So that you maybe get a feel for it, honestly, go out of your way, make a little mental note that at some point on any podcast platform, search Stephen Kyle Podcast, click on any fucking show, and listen to it for 10 minutes. Motherfucker. So bad. So bad. Jesus. All right. So for those of you watching on Facebook, X, and YouTube, it is time to let you go. If you want my full show, it is available on, if you want the full show live, head over to Twitch. Twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live, or download the Twitch app and search Eric Zane Live. There you go. Otherwise, if you want the audio podcast, this is the audio podcast after I do some arts and crafts on it. Boring. At the end of this, the audio podcast is available wherever you download shows. Just search my name and you have it. Please subscribe. And then, of course, the Patreon, totally different animal, different platform, all the different shows that I have there, including Stephen Kyle. Patreon.com/Eric Zane. If you want to reach out to me, I love corresponding with you. Reach out on the Shoreliner Striping inbox, Eric@EricZaneShow.com. That is Eric@EricZaneShow.com, the Shoreliners Striping inbox. Patrick in South Carolina adds, it's impossible to lose sight of how bad that show is. I wish I could lose sight of roast beef prices. Boy, there's been a unusually large amount of references towards roast beef prices. That's, I think, the new hot tub reference. Trump referenced it Friday about roast beef, the price of roast beef being through the roof, and now it seems to be being worked in every time I turn around. All right. I think there is some weirdness going on. I'm not sure what it is. I think there was some. How many listeners named Chris is there? Wouldn't that be are there? I am always so confused when a Chris is mentioned. Chris D says, always so funny when you say they, whenever one of us talks, Kenny, LOL. Bob says, easy there, Kenny. Remember the Doug debacle. Kenny says, so many Dougs and Chris's. I can't keep up, LOL. Chris says, there's like 3 of us, Kenny. You act like we're all the same every time. So is that a thing where Kenny, like every time I say Chris D, he writes, oh my, I can't keep track. It's so confusing. Yeah, I'm not sure. Bob writes, Kenny, I get confused half the time when Eric talks about Rob, and have to remember he usually refers to me as Bob. All right. Kenny adds to Chris, no, there's you, Chris from GR, Deep Voice Chris, or Chris from Buffalo. Deep Voice Chris and Chris in Buffalo are the same person. Chris in Minnesota, and like 10 others. I don't think there is. I think Chris D, Chris K, Chris in Buffalo. Chris in Minnesota never shows up here. Chris D says, yeah, but that doesn't mean we're all the same, man. Kenny says it doesn't make it any less confusing when everyone is just mentioned as Chris. Chris who? Chris where? But I'll shut up now, LOL. Well, I mean, I kind of go Chris D, Chris K, Chris in Buffalo, right? Isn't that what I do? I think I pretty much try to make that a habit. Chris says, the same joke just gets old is all I'm saying, LOL. So I think Chris is saying, Kenny, you say that every time. Like, oh, man, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. Oh, my God. I think that's what he's saying. I think he's suggesting you utter that out all the time. Kenny says, joke? If you're referring to me, I'm not trying to make a joke about the names. I'm honestly always confused, LOL. See, at this point, if I'm Chris, I'm like, you better ripcord. Because he's about to blow. Kenny says, I'm going back to being quiet and focusing on work now. Just say which Chris is all. Chris says, I'm not angry. I just feel like it's not confusing if you listen. All good, Kenny. Yeah, Chris doesn't have a bone in his body that's angry. He's always chill. He's a soccer dude. That's one thing I noticed about soccer dudes. They're always like, yeah, whatever, man. It's cool. Yep. They're like surfers or people who play ultimate frisbee. Soccer people are like that. They have a long fuse. Kenny adds, hey, mate, contrary to popular belief, while working, I'm sure most people don't hear every single word, but maybe it's just me. Chris says, okay, Kenny, was right now, this is confusing. Kenny says, legit, one of the nicest listeners you've ever had. All right, well, every time I'm going to have to make sure that when I'm doing the show, I think it's very important as we move forward, that if a story that I'm focusing on is Chris D with soccer, who contextually for years, I've talked about him as soccer, and he's been more in the front on the show because he's always been a strong contributor to content. Chris D sent me this. So contextually, it should add up, but I'm going to have to say Chris D. And if Chris K says something that's interesting, it's very important that I say Chris K. And if Chris in Buffalo says something, I have to make sure that's Chris in Buffalo. Now, at the end of the day, part of me wants to say to Kenny, shut the fuck up, and you're retarded. And who cares? And who gives a shit? But I'm not going to do that today. I am in too good of a mood to tell Kenny point blank he is a fucking retard. I would not do that. That would be so rude if I looked Kenny straight in his virtual face and said, shut the fuck up, you fucking retard. I'm not going to do that. I love him. That would be so mean if I did that. So I won't. Instead, I'm just going to make sure so that he can keep score on his Chris score sheet, who the Chris D's are, the Chris K's are, and the Chris and Buffaloes. That's what we need to cover here. Chris says Kenny's got free tickets to our men's game if he can ever get up here this summer. Well, of course he can get up here. He'll jump in his 1988 Chevy Celebrity, and then he'll get up to about fucking Connorsville, Indiana, and then he'll sit next to the tow truck driver and have that guy tow his car all the way up to Michigan. And then he'll be stuck here in Michigan for life. We'll never get rid of him, and he'll end up living under a bridge. It's going to be fucking horrible. All right. Anyway, all I was trying to do was promote Patreon. And if you, again, on Facebook, X, and YouTube, I have not yet kicked you out, but I'm going to now. See what you're missing if you are not either on my Patreon or following me on Twitch. I'm kicking you all out. No more Facebook, no more X, no more YouTube. There's still plenty of show left. Thank you.